Hey, my guest today is John Bongiorno. I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
Always
an Irishman and an Italian.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
My mom was Castruccio. My dad's Irish.
And I'm the
Dwyer.
opposite.
You are.
My dad was a Bongiorno. My mom was a Sherwood.
Wow. And I'm sure people have said things to you like, Irish and Italian, how did they get together? And right? I mean,
it just goes to show you I have no temper whatsoever.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I want to talk with you because we're 2 weeks away from Christmas.
Yes.
And, Christmas, the holidays, it's about, I think, reflection, and it's also about contribution. And you, when I did some research on you, you have always been involved in the public eye and giving back to the community. So go back to your past. How did that start? Like, really, what inspired you to be that way?
Well, mostly my parents, but mostly my dad. I mean, if I think back, my dad was a volunteer fireman for 40-something years till he passed.
All right.
He was in the Lions Club for 40-something years till he passed. He was a Mason. He was in the ambulance. I don't even know half the stuff that he was doing.
Okay.
But every time you turn around, I was tailing along in the car to go to a meeting or we were going to do something. So I credit my parents, my grandfather, my grandfather was a tough guy.
Was he really?
Oh, yeah. He was a tough guy. When it came time for me to get my Eagle, I had enough of Boy Scouts. It was time to move on.
Right.
And my grandfather basically sat me down and said, I will disown you.
Really?
He was a scoutmaster for 40 years. He goes, you will finish, you will appreciate it. And he told my parents, don't make me get mad. And so I finished.
Right.
And I appreciated it.
Right.
So that, it was one of those things where I just needed a little extra motivation. But I always had that when I was younger. I was very lucky.
So I think, we're about the same age. You grew up in New Milford.
Yes.
I grew up in New Fairfield. I'm in my 60s. I'm thinking you're in your 60s too.
Yes, I am.
Totally different world. I mean, you could have a grandfather say that.
Yeah.
Today people just don't react that way.
That's too bad because they have a lot of wisdom.
I know. And the fact that we would look to these people because they lived to the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and it's like, today we look to the younger generation thinking they have the wisdom.
And my wife's grandpa lived to be 91.
Okay.
And we used to sit and talk, and he used to tell me stories about how he delivered grain. He was very hardworking, and he told me how he used to have to go to upstate New York to get grain.
Right.
When only part of the turnpike was paved and all the bridges weren't in. And he had to get off with this big grain truck and drive on dirt roads and then get back on the highway, drive on a dirt road again. And you're saying to yourself, what?
Yeah.
We don't have any of that.
No.
And they did things like nothing.
Right.
We would never think of some of those things anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Just never.
And weak people or weak men and weak women are because of, weak times. And in fact, cushy times. Things are so easy for people.
It's fair. It's very fair to say that people do or could handle hardship differently. I know a lot of people, trust me, through the organizations that I work with, where people are amazing to me that the hardship that they can face and the level that they can rise to get above it. And then there are people who don't get above it at all and kind of just fold up in a ball and that's it. And there's no one there pushing them.
So we're talking about resilience here.
Yeah.
And so let me ask you this. Why do you think some people are resilient? I know why you are, probably because of your background, right? Mine is my father. If I stayed at my house and I was in my 20s and 30s and living in the basement, my father would have killed me, right? Today you got young kids that are staying home. I'm not criticizing, but it's just a different world. But why do you think some people are just resilient and other people, they just fold like a flower?
Well, it really starts probably all the way back to education.
Okay.
Where they went to school, what they had to do in school. I find that athletics helps build resilience.
Yes, it does.
You have to learn how to win. You have to learn how to lose. You have to learn how to get better. Or guess what? You don't play.
I love that.
That's important.
Yeah.
I always, through my whole life, my parents, I like to play sports. I wasn't always a great winner, and I wasn't always a great loser, but I really always played really hard. And I see people who give up way too early.
Right.
And then later in life, they're really good at it. And they're like, geez, I really should have tried harder when I was younger.
Yeah.
It just depends on how you're pushed. Think about coaches. I think about some older coaches that I've had or coaches that I see today that are what I consider great coaches. And they don't hug you when things go wrong.
Right.
They tell you need to do better. Come into the gym early.
Right.
But we don't always get that anymore.
Right.
And we need it. We need it because it's great for kids. It's great to build young adults in that manner. Gino Auriemma is a perfect example. Watch how that gentleman has evolved his coaching style, and yet he's still successful and gains respect. And when he asks you to do something, you're doing it.
Right.
That's what everybody needs. It's not an easy thing, and life is much harder than I thought it was going to be when I was a kid. And we're sitting at the Christmas tree looking at the presents, and we're so happy. And then you go, oh, now I'm older, I can watch what I want on TV. Yeah, you can, but guess what? It's not so easy.
Right.
And you really need to work hard. And when bad things happen, and if they're so bad you need help, then ask for it.
Right.
Don't get so far in the hole that you can't get out. And I think that I really believe that people, a lot of the people in our group are all about the same. I know that when I work in some of my organizations, the charity organizations I'm on, between Possum Queen and the Lions Club, they just give immense amounts of time and effort to make things better for everybody.
Right.
And you can't ask for more than that.
Right. And I think you get to the point where you realize that life isn't about you. It's not just about your survival. And once you get past that, you know that you can give back. And it feels great, right?
Oh, it's very rewarding. And none of it would happen if it wasn't for my wife. She's incredibly patient because I am busy a lot.
So I know you do a lot. I know how I got involved with the Possum Queen. My friend Susan Wheeler and I were talking, and all of a sudden, about a year ago, she said, "You got to call these folks," and that's how I met you. But how did you get involved? Was it your wife, or what happened?
Actually, that's true.
Okay.
It really was my wife.
Okay.
So this used to take place on the green way back in the day, and she goes, "We should go to this and help donate." I'm like, "I have plenty of things to do.
Yeah.
It's pouring rain. I really don't have any interest in doing this."
Right.
And she's like, no, we should stop. So we stopped.
Okay.
And, of course, I knew Billy, Neller, and Hawk for a while. And they're like, they're all doing their thing. So we ended up sneaking into the village somehow. I don't know how we fit. But she's like, we need to do stuff. I probably got home and and then the next 2 or 3 weeks, Billy asked if I would help him a little bit.
Right.
And then it evolved into a 501c3, and it just took off like a snowball down the hill.
Right. And it seems to me if you want to get something done, you ask somebody who's really busy. They'll get it done. They know how to get it done.
Well, because when you're busy, you figure out a way to run a calendar. When you don't have anything to do, you don't know how to run a calendar. And I will honestly say that because my wife is so patient and considerate of all the things I do and participates in all of them, by the way, I am able to manage my calendar, even though it has been incredibly busy.
So you probably have a lot of things to do, but if you were to step back like 3,000 feet and look at the whole thing, what is your motivation? What is your identity? What is the driving force that makes you do all these things? It's not just politics. It's not just involved with work. Like you have a full-time job too on top of this, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just charity. So who are you that would want to be this way? That's a big question, but it's what motivates.
I guess I could read you some of the emails I get.
Okay.
But to be honest and fair, helping people when people need help, and they send you an email that you can't even get through without crying.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They are so thankful.
Yeah.
Legitimately thankful.
Yeah.
That it's different when sometimes people are thank you very much. Thank you.
It's not sincere. It's not deep.
These are not that.
Okay.
We have, the organizations I am part of have changed people's lives.
Wow.
For the better.
Wow.
And it's very gratifying.
So you're making a difference. It kind of reminds me of A Wonderful Life. Here's this. I love this movie. Here's this guy that wants to live and do all these great things, and then he realizes the impact of what his life is. And here it is in December, but this applies anytime. Did you learn this? Did you always know this?
That's a hard question. It's a Wonderful Life is actually one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
We went to the Warner to see it the other day.
Oh, you did?
And I missed, there are parts of the movie that I completely have never seen.
Why?
I don't know whether it was taken out for commercials and they had to fit it in a certain time frame on TNT or TBS
okay.
or how it worked.
Okay.
But we actually sat there and watched the entire movie beginning to end. And it's amazing how he did such a great job of putting all of that together.
Yeah.
And the feeling that you have when you watch that movie.
Yeah.
It is very gratifying to help people.
Mm-hmm.
It's necessary in my mind to help people. And you cannot do it by yourself.
Right. You need a team.
Oh, and you need, and as the more people you help, the bigger the team you need. And that's what gets hard.
So why the name? Because, up here in Litchfield, I walked into one of the restaurants and they have this big, poster and what is this Possum Queen? It's like, why this? Like, what's behind that?
It's pretty simple.
Okay.
It was started 37 or 38 years ago. I want to say 38.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Okay. It was started in a bar by Billy Neller.
Okay.
And Brett Hawkins.
Okay. They must have been drinking.
Of course. and we
That's why they came up with Possum.
We don't want to take that away, but what was going on was they were watching TV, and the Beverly Hillbillies episode, Granny for Possum Queen, was on.
Oh,
So
no, I know the reference.
Come up with a contest.
I know the reference.
So they said, we're going to have the Possum Queen
Oh, my God.
contest.
Okay.
And so, hence, the name was born, and it just, and they started out, we used to help single people or individual people.
Yeah.
They used to just raise money for someone. And
Okay.
we used to raise money so that the person could go and the family could go and stay with the kids when they were in the hospital, or we could pay for transportation for that,
Okay.
or we would help pay for food or things like of that nature. And it was always for a single or just two people.
Right.
Then we started raising money when you had different groups doing skits. The groups for skits would raise money for an individual person. Mm-hmm. And then we got a tap on the shoulder from a couple of people who really know what they're doing. One of them was involved in the Ronald McDonald Charities, and another one was a friend of mine that lived up the street that was an attorney and said, you know what you need to do? You need to be a 501c3.
Yeah, exactly.
So we had a couple of very good friends, Judge Andren Guinness and Judge Charles Gill, who just passed, by the way, start driving that home. So this is what you need to do.
It took it to another level.
Yep, and then the person from Ronald McDonald Charities sat us down and said, all right, here's the bucket you need to do this year. This is what you need to do next year. And then it evolved into accounting and 501c3 and the ability to service from 3 or 5 people a year to 10, 20, and now we're probably over 70.
70 people
70
a year.
families and people. So it's not always just a person. A lot of times it's a family.
Okay.
But we do work hand in hand with social services all through Northwest Connecticut. And we try to give people help when they need to get some help regarding state help, food, oil. So we have all the numbers. We give them out to people so that they can get some help.
So how do you screen these people? Because obviously, you might have some people that are just not motivated. And, I've worked in situations where, people are working the system. So how do you regulate that?
We have a distribution committee.
You do?
That has 14 folks on it.
Okay.
All different jobs, real jobs, retired, all different facts of life.
Okay.
And they review all the applications. And then we decide what we can give to help this person, along with a lot of times we'll suggest someone else to talk to, and then they move on to we'll send them a check. We do not give at the Possum Queen to other charities.
We only give a direct?
Direct to individuals.
Wow.
And we have had people tell us lately that makes them very happy.
What's the big difference?
The big difference is if I give my money to you and you have a big charity, you do whatever you want with that money, and I
you have no
lose
control.
any say that I had about it at all.
Yeah.
And some charities have probably gotten off what the person that was donating the money felt was a direction they wanted to go, maybe.
Right.
So we simply deal with people who have, financial hardship due to a catastrophic event in their life.
Right.
It's not just medical. We've had people who had their house burned down. We've had folks who been in car accidents but didn't get hurt, but can no longer go to work.
Why?
Because they have no car.
Oh, they have no car. Gotcha.
And insurance companies don't hurry to fix things.
Right. No. No.
So we fit a gap, and get them from A to B, and then their life can go back to somewhat normal as best we can help.
Wow. Yeah, when you were talking about this, the screening process, I immediately thought, are you going to make this a reality show? Where you have people come in, but all of these people are anonymous. Nobody talks.
So we have to follow all the HIPAA regulations.
So what's that about?
So when we have anybody that's medical,
Okay.
we have client A, client B, client C. The distribution committee will vote on the person, but all that stuff gets shredded. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Because you don't want any leaks.
Right.
We've been diligent about it. It's actually makes it hard.
And what about your big donors? They also want to be anonymous.
Our big donors don't
right?
care to know about that. They know the rules.
But they also don't want publicity, right?
Well, we have some that don't want publicity.
Okay.
But our donors, we put them on the website.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
We put them on the website, and we have a book for Possum Queen, at the festival on New Year's Day. And in that book, everyone will be in there.
Wow.
All the donors will be in there. But they really are kind people.
Right. So can anybody come to this event?
Anybody can come to the event on New Year's Day at Crystal Peak.
Okay.
And it is free.
It's free to get there.
It's free to get there, free to get in.
And then there's an auction. So let's talk about the auction.
All right. So there's a live auction. And our auctioneer is Eric Hummel, the Hummel hot dog guy. And you saw him on
Oh, that's right.
12. He was on Channel 12 News. They did a whole expose on him. He's an amazing guy, and he is a fantastic auctioneer.
I saw him last year.
Absolutely fantastic.
I was very impressed. Yeah.
And, I'm going to do a shout-out. I'm really sorry, but he's a huge Alabama fan, and that's just not going to work out this year.
Yeah.
But he's our auctioneer. This year we have, obviously, you are going to be our...
I'm so honored. I'm so
We are
thrilled.
thrilled to have you. You wowed the crowd last year, and they were pretty shocked. We have Kareem Blue, the comedian. We have Shanna in a dress, who is coming all the way from Nashville.
Nice.
She loves us. She plays at Black Bear. She is super talented, absolutely wonderful human being, and really loves to come up here and interact with everybody and play around. And we have a couple surprises.
I heard.
Yeah,
I heard.
we have surprises.
I can't say what my sources
are.
are.
We can't say,
but someone I met today was talking to me
there,
about
there
the
may
secret.
or may not be a couple of skits.
Yeah, that's
which
what I
brings
heard.
us back to the old days.
Yep. With old people that have done old skits with you, are they right?
Yep. And we have Frank Jankowitz doing our sound. So for any of you fair goers, you know who Frank is. He shows up early in the morning. Never have to worry about him. Every year he's there.
And what about the numbers? I was really impressed. When I walked on stage, it was a full audience. I mean, we still use the photos on our website. I mean, it was packed. How many people are you expecting this year, 2025?
I would love to see us get back over 450. Last year we had about 370.
And what'd you raise last year? How much money?
$112,000.
And would you give most of it away?
We've, to this day, as of today, I'll go home. I need to write a check for a lady who was in a very bad car accident, and she had her back broken.
Oh, my goodness.
We will be over $90,000 given out this year in grants.
Wow. That's amazing.
It makes you feel good when you go to sleep.
Mm-hmm. So what's the vision? I mean, here it is going into 2025. Where do you see this in 5 years? Where do you see this in 10 years?
Well, I think the secret is we've built a base now. We are actually going to change the name a smidge. After the first of the year, we're going to be Possum Queen Charities, Inc.
Now, why? What's the reason behind it?
Well, it's a very strange thing. So they picked foundation because it sounded cool.
Right.
The connotation with a foundation is you have a back-end trust and you have people who have given you money that runs this trust, and you just take off the interest, and you don't really need to raise money, and all those things are false.
So there's more to it than
yes,
what
we are not that. So we're just a regular bunch of people that called it a foundation. So when we apply to organizations that are foundations that could give us money to help our cause, they cannot give us money because they don't give to foundations.
I see. So you're not like Bill Gates Foundation,
yes,
or whatever.
Well,
foundation.
yeah, I'd love for them to come and give us money, but
right.
Again, and there's a lot of complexity in asking for money. First of all, it's a competitive business. I used to be in
it. I used to be in it for the college.
A lot of people are raising money for really great things. So you don't want to tell anybody, oh, that's not a good thing. Give us money.
Right.
And so
Right.
Our secret has been word of mouth, and just try to help as many people as we possibly can
Right.
in a time frame. And we just do a really, really good job with the small crew that we have. It would be great to be able to build a program. So we have a couple of programs that we're going to build.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a program, you can ask for a grant for a program, but you can't just ask for money to put in your coffer to give away from a lot of organizations.
So what's the program?
The program is our $2,500 program, where if you have an immediate need and you pass muster, and we have references and such that you have definitely needed some assistance, the board of directors can give up to $2,500. That money we could consider the $2,500 program, and so we can go ask for money from other organizations to help fund that program. But when you just run a big organization and you just take all the money in and you're like, wow, this is great, and then you help all these people, you can't ask for program money.
Right. Okay.
So it requires a lot of learning how things work, how they're going to go forward, getting a grant. When we want to go get a grant, you got to have a program.
Right. And not only that, I worked at a college and I did alumni relations, so we would ask people for money. It was a full-time job for me. So you're working this, you're doing this, you're involved in other areas of your life. Is anybody on this Possum Queen Foundation full-time, or are they all volunteers?
Oh, no. Everybody's a volunteer.
Everybody's a volunteer.
Wait, no.
So the ratio of, now this is important, how much money you take in and how much you give out, there's no administration cost. There must be some.
So the way the state works, so that's actually a quick, funny story.
Okay.
So we used to have zero expenses.
I would think.
We were proud that we had zero expenses.
That's amazing.
And our attorney and the state
said you can't
do that.
Now tell me why. What's the reason?
Because you must show a deficit on something.
So you on salary now?
Yeah, no. That'll never happen.
I know.
So insurance. So Jimmy says, I'll give you the money for insurance. That's great. That money is considered a donation to the Possum Queen, but we still have an insurance deficit that we have to take off the books.
And insurance,
so you can't run it 100%.
Really?
Well, that's impossible because technically, if you think about it, so insurance, operations. So when we have to pay, say we buy a TV, well, that's an operational expense.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you buy a TV for the auction,
right,
and then you auction the TV off and get the money back. Well, that's great. That's a net zero.
It's a net zero.
But you still had to buy the TV. So they wanted to see all this.
They did.
So once we became a full 501c3, we changed our checkbooks around, so we have an operating checkbook.
Okay.
We're all squared away with all of those things, and it was a learning curve.
I bet.
And I'll be honest, Billy was really upset about it because he was proud to say that we gave away all the money.
Yeah.
We do. But we do have expenses, and we do have to pay for things.
But it's probably a small margin, right?
So we model ourselves after the Salvation Army.
Okay.
The Salvation Army does over 95%. Most of their money goes back to the community.
That's great.
94, 95. We're over 94. We stay right in that range.
So if people wanting to give to something that they feel good about, knowing that a good percentage is going to go, then you're the one.
Yeah, and it's on paper. It's 94% in real life because people may say, well, I'll pay for that.
Yeah.
It was paid for, but it comes in as a donation. And that's how we have to do it. And
Right.
and it's understandable because, when you try to tell somebody, well, we didn't have any expenses. Well, then how'd you get those stamps?
Right.
Well, Jim bought them and just gave them to us.
Right.
Yeah, but Jim bought them. So,
Right.
So it was, we got it.
Right.
So we're over 94%, and we're very proud of that.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
That's amazing to be able to run an event and have all this stuff, and by the time we're done, we're kicking it at 94%, and we need every penny.
And even the venue, right? Do they donate?
All right, yeah. So thank you for reminding me. So it's at Crystal Peak. John Roller and his family.
They donate it, don't they?
Give us everything.
Everything. And I mean, if you had to rent that place out,
tables, he gets someone to donate the linens, he runs the show, he gets figures out some food, he takes care of getting bartenders, he takes care of everything for us.
Yeah.
If it needed to be plowed, it's plowed. If it needed to be anything, he has done that for us for years.
Right.
And he is on our board of directors. just a great guy, and his whole family works the whole day.
Now, who are the people that are attracted to this? Because last year was there. I didn't know what I was walking into. They seem to be very nice, classy people, maybe movers and shakers in Litchfield County. I don't know. But who are the ones that are attracted to the event that's going to come up?
We have anybody and everybody.
Really?
Again, when you don't charge entry, people are like, hey, this might be something fun to do on New Year's Day.
Oh, it was
and then it becomes a tradition for them.
It's very fun.
And then they come and they say, wow, there's like something to do, and there's drinks, and we have Litchfield Distillery supports us, so they're going to come. We have Papa Pilar Rum. They support us.
I remember them. So how do you
Nick
get
Doyle?
How are you getting the
Diane
word
Bennett.
out? Are you putting it on social media? What are you doing?
We're horrible advertisers. We
are.
do have a new website. Our website is great. So a friend of ours, Kevin Steck, has been working on it.
Okay. But word of mouth is the best.
That's it.
Yep.
That's our claim to fame is word of mouth.
Yeah.
We have technology, but we don't have time.
Exactly.
So it's very hard, and you would understand this, to try to keep up with a Facebook page or a website.
Oh, you need
you need pictures every day. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So we do the best we can, and that's what we do.
So I have to show you something. So it's almost Christmas, and I may show you this in January, but this says The Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And on the back it says, "No one is useless in this world who lightens the burdens of another." That's you, man.
Yeah.
Think about it. So how do you want to be remembered?
Oh, I don't even...
You don't think about that?
I don't think about that yet. I tell everybody I'm not dead yet. And I was a Monty Python fan, so I just want to be clear.
It's like how long you lived here.
Yeah,
all my life.
We've been in Litchfield since 2003.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that I don't really worry about how I'm thought of when I'm gone. It's just doing as much as I can before the clock chimes.
Right? Yeah.
So it's almost like a race for me.
It is. It's like a game of race, and
So
I
it's
can
like,
see you're very competitive.
Yeah.
But it's winning is helping other people.
Winning, yes. If you ain't first, you're last.
Well, what do you mean by that? If you're not first, you're last. What do you mean?
Well, that's the best statement out of Ricky Bobby.
Oh, okay.
Oh my goodness, that movie is funny. But but in fairness, really try to do as much as you can.
Right.
You're others. Never gonna. If you do as much as you can and some things don't work out, that's okay.
Right. Because I think most people play it safe and they don't do anything because they're afraid.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna apologize for things, and then you're gonna just move on to the next thing.
Right.
And you learn all those things when you're doing stuff like this or you're doing stuff in politics. Everybody's never going to be happy.
Right.
But you do the right thing, and it will turn out okay.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate you coming in. This is a last-minute thing. This is like a week and a half before Christmas.
I know.
You guys are really busy with meetings, and I
Yes.
see your emails, and there's a lot for you guys to do between now and January 1st.
We got a lot going on. We're trying to get. It would be great to raise $140,000 this year.
Well, I think you can do it.
That's what we're shooting for.
And what are you at now? What do you think as far as what's coming in?
Right about now, we're probably at 30.
Okay, so if you're watching this now, this is what we're saying. If you're watching this now, how do they give to this? Just show up and buy something?
You can show up and buy something. You can go to possumqueenfoundation.org.
Mm-hmm.
There's a donate button. You can click on that donate button, and you can donate to us, and then we'll see it pop up, and we can send you a thank you.
Excellent.
We appreciate anybody looking. Look at our sponsors. We have an amazing group of sponsors on there, and we have new ones this year. So we're very excited that we have like 7 or 8 new sponsors.
Nice. John, thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
It was great.
I'm looking forward to working with you again in January.
It'll be great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Bye for now. Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays, everybody.
All right. Bye.